In the equity quadrant, a mild to slightly down week. Really was an unchanged week for the three major indices, the Dow Jones, the S&P, and the NASDAQ, but they were slightly negative. But the Russell 2000 future, on the other hand, was actually slightly positive. It was the worst performer on Friday, but it was the best performer for the week, having outperformed the other three major indices for 3 of the 4 days during the week. Now, the Russell 2000, being a small cap index, has plenty of reasons to outperform, not only this week, but potentially in the coming weeks. Trade tensions are part of the problem. In the face of trade tensions, small caps may actually outperform as long as economic data stays strong domestically. Now, we had a mix of economic data on Friday morning. We had retail sales numbers come in decent. They didn't really miss much. They missed by about 1/10. The headline retail sales number and the inflation numbers fell a little bit, but all that does is keep the Federal Reserve in play. So looking at that particular U.S. data, that kind of falls in line with the Russell outperforming because, again, the consumer seems fine. You get down to the University of Michigan sentiment, the current condition index outperformed by quite a bit. The headline number was right as expected. Future index looked a little bit weak, actually quite a bit weak, but again, that keeps the Fed in play. So when we look at the interest rate picture, with global central banks moving more dovish, small caps tend to outperform, especially domestically. If the US Fed actually does cut rates, which if you look at the CME Fed Watch tool, taking that all the way out to December of 2019, there's over a 98% chance the rates are lower by December of this year than they currently are now. So why does that affect small caps? Well, historically, in a falling rate environment, small caps outperform large caps. The S&P, the Dow, and the NASDAQ all have mostly large cap components to them. The Russell is mostly small caps. So again, not only do they get their earnings domestically, but they are much more reliant on financing from banks, credit lines, and the rates actually affect their bottom line a lot more than the large cap company who have bigger balance sheets, bigger profit margins, and are able to actually absorb rate hikes much better than small caps are. Small caps in falling rate environments historically, going back to 1974, outperform the big caps. So the Russell not only outperformed this week, but given the macro backdrop that we've got currently, could potentially outperform for weeks to come. CME does have that micro Russell contract, so people may want to start looking at that going forward if nothing changes with the trade tensions and if the Fed actually does go on a rate cutting cycle.